Dear students, in this unit, we will talk about natural selection in response to introduced species. Introduced species mean there is an ecosystem where certain species coexist with respect to each other. But a new species from another ecosystem is brought into this ecosystem, and that species will be known as introduced species. Now, rapid evolutionary changes are very common when some new species invade a certain ecosystem. These evolutionary changes could include rapid adaptation to invaders. Mean invaders can rapidly invade and adapt to the new environment, while sometime the genetic exchange is also resulted. New species is mingled with the pre-existing species, and then we have some hybrid species which carries the gene of that new species, and then evolution in the recipient communities. Now, that evolution or the shift in the evolution start taking place. Now, invasive species, they cause significant environmental damage, leading to change in the structure and composition of pre-existing communities and the alteration of ecosystem and level of processes and services, including different cycles, for example, nitrogen cycles. So these all started rapidly changing when a new species introduced into a system. For example, in this diagram, if you see that this is an ecosystem where certain species are living, and you can see that very normal or low gene flow is present, and that favors the local adaptation across the species range. But when a new species is introduced, there is a rapid climate change which take place, and you can see that there are certain changes which is like a selection for increased dispersal ability. Then we have gene flow, which favors local adaptation to the new climate, and even the selection of certain species or selection on the species level climate tolerance. As a result, you can see certain species diminish, and some local species, they get more favors as compared to the other species. So this biological invasion dramatically affect the distribution, abundance, and reproduction of many native species. Because of these ecological effects, exotic species can also influence the evolution of native, which are exposed to novel interaction with these invaders. Now, these evolutionary changes in natives in response to selection from exotic are usually not very much pondered by the scientist community, but sometimes those are very remarkable or very prominent changes which take place. For example, the common responses which include as a result of invasion of a new species, that include altered anti-predator defenses, changes in the spectrum of resources and habitats used, and other adaptation that allow the native population to persist in the invaded areas. So certain changes that take place. Another is hybridization, which involves the exotic species or the invading species. They can have evolutionary consequences on the native species by exchanging some genetic material, and novel fitness related allele may be transferred to wild population with the potential consequences for community composition and stability. These concerns are very magnified when the invader is genetically modified organism, because genetically modified organism, they carry transgene, and by design, those transgene have very powerful effects on the fitness of those species. And the invasion of genetically modified crops into an ecosystem can have disastrous consequences if it is not checked very properly.